All right, guys, so today's kind of a little different video. We have a few different things going on. First thing we're going to talk about is why Americans in general are so scared of BMWs, not just BMWs, but all German cars altogether. But before we start that, we've graduated from the GoPro. The GoPro in here, these bright lights, is having some reflective issues and that kind of stuff. I want things to be as clear and as nice as it could possibly be for you guys. So thanks to you guys watching the videos, we've upgraded. We've upgraded to full out KC Neistat status. The big Canon 80D, which still today for the money is the best DSLR you could get. There's a few other ones, but all of them kind of didn't do everything that I wanted them to do, or did something I didn't really need. We have the video Rode Mic Pro Plus, I think that's what it is, and our Manfrotto tripod, of course. So this is going to be a hell of an upgrade. We have a nice wide 10x18 lens on it. None of that crap to where it's like this when we're talking to it. And that's what exactly the Canon G7X Mark II. That camera, that was a no-go. I literally felt like we were like this all the time, right? How's it going, guys? Can you get any freak closer? Terrible focus, terrible everything. This is like the maximum for YouTube stuff. You could buy stuff maybe this much better for that much more money. And that's kind of it. We don't need to shoot 4K and 60 frames per second. We can't even upload that. Nobody would watch it. Nobody's internet could even play that. So why would you even want it, right? So let's switch to that right now. We're going to finish talking about the video. All right. There we go. Almost tripped over the lawnmower behind me. That's all right. Hopefully this is a little bit better. Hopefully the audio is right. There's a lot of adjustments on this camera and mic, and hopefully everything is good to go. Now, what we're going to talk about is, like I said, why Americans have such problems with owning these German cars. Well, the biggest thing is it's America, right? So we're supposed to have Ford, Dodge, Chevy, stuff like that. The big three, right? All of America set up to own one of the big three. All right, so when you go to the auto parts store, that's the parts they stock the most. That's what's mostly available. Obviously, you lived in Europe, your Mercedes, BMW, Audi, all that stuff's going to be easier to get parts for. You live in Japan, your Toyota stuff, your Nissan, that kind of stuff is going to be the easiest to get parts for. Now, as a general rule of thumb, when you go to a shop, when you go to a local shop, they're working on all of the big three, Chevy, Ford, and Dodge stuff. They might do a little bit of Volkswagen stuff. They might do some Toyota and Honda stuff if it's not too difficult. Usually they don't stray away from that. Now, shops that do specialize in Euro cars, European cars, charge a higher premium. And there's not a lot of those shops either. You know, I would say for every one European shop, you have 10 regular shops. And that's the whole situation with it. That makes people scared to buy these cars. And, you know, like for me, it's harder for me to understand because I work on them, but then I understand, right? I understand what the situation is. And a lot of times people in different countries, like if you live in Germany or UK, and you have a car that's from there, you're going to take care of that car more because it's easier to handle, it's easier to maintain. Also, people in more mild climates don't have as much trouble with these cars either. The sun is a brutal thing with these. As you've seen, if you don't keep the car up, leave it out in the rain, things get wet in it, and that breaks stuff. Floods the ECU out, gets in the floorboards of the car. It's just overall a pain. Now, if you don't keep the cars outside, everything's easier suddenly to keep up, right? All the exterior stays nice, the interior stays nice. You don't have near the electronic issues. You don't have window regulator problems as bad. There's a lot to that. Now, guys like Scotty Kilmer, those older guys, hey, I'm older too, older also. Just not as old as he is. But he doesn't have a chance to work on this stuff. He was brought up in a time of like our 1602 here. And that was in such a long time ago. He got in the car business way before any electronics were introduced. So now he's in a time where cars are being made that he don't understand. And it's not his fault, it's not anybody's fault. There's a lot of people like that. There's people my age don't know how to work on stuff, because when I grew up, in the 90s, unless you had a BMW or whatever have you, you didn't have this kind of stuff either. You had real basic cars, right? Get you over here with the tripod's a little minimum for this big of a camera. You had basic cars back then. People weren't driving brand new stuff. So people in the 90s are still driving stuff from the 70s and 80s, right? Carbureted everything. If you had something, a fuel injection, you were looking at E36, right? E36 is about as extravagant in a small town as you got. Maybe you see one Mercedes driving around, maybe, probably not, that had fuel injection, or was a diesel Mercedes from the 70s, something along those lines. So what's happened in the last 20 years is, actually the last, 20 years, the electronics part of the cars jumped way far ahead, and that left a lot of people in the dark. And it's a constant thing to keep up with, because every year is changing more and more and more. And we see these cars where you got to have the BMW particular software to work on them, do any of that stuff. Now we're seeing other manufacturers do that. We're seeing Nissan do that now. Dodge has some stuff out like that. And it's just, if you're not willing to evolve with things, it's difficult to do. One more example. A lot of people don't do online banking. They don't pay all their bills online. Okay. Mailing a check in the mail, that's old school stuff. That's obsolete. You can't no longer trust the post office. You can't trust a check at all. There's too many variables to having an issue. Everything's set up now to do everything online. All right. You got to follow the system. If you don't, you'll be left behind. There's not a whole hell of a lot of people doing BMW, actually working on BMWs on YouTube. There's a few people posted video here and there, posted videos years ago when they had to fix something of their own they had. But a lot of the BMW YouTubers are going away. And a lot of those people never really worked on a lot of stuff. It was more like bolt this on, bolt that on, and whatever have you. At some degree, I wish there was more cars I could run through here to show you guys more stuff. But I'm not really set up for that anymore. We are, but I don't really want to do that anymore, right? And we have enough stuff here to keep us busy for a long time. And I really want to get started on these other cars, on the M5, on the 1602. This thing's already done. And I seriously want to look at getting my Blue E39 sold, the E90 sold, and keep getting some different stuff in here, because just like anything else, if you don't keep moving, you're going to get left behind. And I think the newer cars, the better for the next car. The newer the car, the better for the next car. And that'll solidify people that are getting a newer BMW. They're getting ready to buy one. And they want, try to explain this. They want to be able to work on it themselves if it's that type of person. And they can watch videos and do that. Now, as time goes on, a lot of the millennials are not working on stuff themselves. They don't know how to do anything. That sounds like an old man statement, but to be honest, that's the truth. Not all of them. I would say more of kids now don't work on stuff than ever before, right? When I was younger, when I was a high school kid or just out of high school, if you didn't work on stuff yourself, you didn't have anything. I don't know. There was no buying something brand new with a warranty, right? I wasn't a rich kid back then by any means. Most people were not. 95% of people were not. In my hometown, nobody was really rich. So you had to do what you had to do. I think a lot of you guys will probably agree with that statement. A lot of you guys are brought up like that too. Now, if you lived in the city, maybe your mom and daddy is rich. Maybe they're buying you the brand new BMW back in the 90s. I don't know. That's not a likely situation, though. So, what's next for the channel? I'll tell you what's next for the channel. We need to go drive this first of all. Look how straight, look how dirty that car is to start with. But whoa, buddy. But look how straight we're lined up now, right? And it looks like it's a little towed in the front. I don't really think it's actually like that. So like I said, the 1602, my uncle and cousin are coming back in March. I kind of want to wait until then to start on this. There's a bunch of things we got to do to it. My theory is right now to start collecting parts for it. So when we want to put this thing on the lift, and the scenario is going to be, as of right now, we're going to put it on the lift, and I need to go to Harbor Freight in the next few days. Well, assuming next time I get there, we're not going to use it right away, and get one of those hydraulic tables. That'll allow me to set the whole subframe and engine out the bottom on the lift. I could jack the hydraulic table up to meet it. We'll pick the lift up and lift the body off of the car. At that point in time, once that's out, I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab a chassis cart. They're not very much, 150 bucks. Get one that folds up, and we could set the chassis down off the lift and take the rear subframe out also, obviously. Set the chassis down off the lift on the cart, and we could roll it out the door. We'll set some boards up to roll it out in the gravel. At that point in time, we get the pressure washer out, and we can pressure wash a lot of stuff up underneath of it. And because that'll let it sit a little higher than what it's sitting now, hopefully, and if we get the right cart. And then at that point in time, it's only got one single bar going down the middle, so we can access everything. And we have to degrease this baby inside and out, and the engine bay and everything, 110%. All right, at that point in time, we can put the engine on the engine stand. We can start taking parts off of it and degrease it. We'll pull the fuel tank out. I think it's nice and clean, but we want to probably go ahead and pull it out anyway and recoat it. And then once all that's done, all the trim has to come off this car. All the lights got to come out. All the windows got to come out. And we actually probably are going to wait till the very end to take the windows themselves out. So when we sand the whole body, we're not dusting out everything. So once we pull the windows out, we just got to sand around the windows, and that's it. I think we keep it a lot cleaner that way, and so forth. But the door jambs and stuff, I don't know if we need to paint those or not. Probably. We'll have the doors and everything else off. We'll go and paint the door jambs, I think, because we could break it at the seal, right? And all that stuff. And this thing's gonna need new tires, gonna need all brakes, all ball joints, all steering components. I don't think we need any brake lines. They look like they're in great shape. We'll go ahead and reseal the whole entire engine. And we're gonna put new shocks on it, these new shock mounts. Just like everything we need to do, we'll have to dissect, take the hood off, dissect all the hinges, probably gonna repaint all the hinges. I don't know how far we're gonna go with this car. There's a lot of stuff in the trunk that's painted this color. I'd like to say probably with the factory color. Or we're gonna be able to keep these factory stickers. I would like to, but we're just gonna have to see how it goes. We're gonna get a new carburetor, probably not Weber 2-barrel, probably the original carburetor. Try to keep her as original as we can. All these tanks, we could buy that stuff new off eBay. Like I said before, all these lights, all that stuff, even though they're not bad shape, we can still buy those new old stock, brand new. And we'll do the seats. We'll take all this material off the seats. We'll get the OEM seat covers and all new carpets and whatever have you. But the inside's not really that bad of shape. It got some stuff flaking off there in the door panel, some chrome flaking off. I don't know if we'll go just extreme with it or not. But the way I look at it, we might have to drop, I'll have to snap that baby off. Might have to drop a few $1,000s, $4,000 or $5,000 on this car to get it all correct. At that point in time, I can decide what I want to do with this car. I know if I sell it, I'm never going to find another one that condition with no rust. That's just not even a possibility anymore. unless you're out in California or somewhere, and it's not going to be a cheap price for that either way. And a lot of stuff going on. The E90, like I said, is probably getting sold. We need to get it in the lower shop. Actually, I might do that right now and do those cam sensors, see if that changes anything with it. Since we had an error code for, I can't even remember, I think it's all side cam sensor. Hopefully that causes the running weird situation. It fixes that. I think we're going to have to do a brake booster on it, go through a cleaning, and somebody else could be the new owner of that. That's pretty much it. Stay tuned. I'm not sure what the next video is going to be right now, but we'll get something out for you. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.